Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Monday, June 27th. Excuse me. It is the last trading week of the week. Of the month, as well as the quarter. So by Friday, we'll be on to a new second half of the year already, or maybe slow for some people. I don't know. This market's been a little bit of both, I think, this year. So let's get to the markets. So very overall choppy day. I just kind of after I saw the price action after a couple hours of the day, I was kind of just resolved myself to really not do too much today. I don't like to force when it just doesn't look like it's going to be a very good day to trade. It looks like it just looked like we were going to have chop a little bit more, a little bit follow through to the downside, but it didn't look like there was much to really go after in terms of wonderful trades for the day. Value outperformed today. Remember, growth was a big outperformer last week, so value coming back a little bit, definitely in the form of the energy stocks, as well as the healthcare, which I think everybody is at this point noticing the strength in the healthcare stocks. And last week it was both biotech and healthcare, and definitely just continuation from some areas of healthcare and biotech too. So we'll go over a couple of those stocks, and then bonds a bit weak. So I think that this is going to be definitely something to watch. You see, I've got it highlighted over here, especially if you're a growth investor. The move up, the raise in interest rates affects growth stocks a little bit more. So why don't we start with that chart? I seem to always gravitate towards the bond chart first, just because it has those implications. And I mentioned things to watch. So yeah, I mean, if we push back here, which we kind of are. So first of all, remember this relationship. I'm looking at the 30-year bond futures. When this relationship goes down, remember the rates are inverse to the price, so you have interest rates going up. So the further down this goes, the higher the interest rates goes. So I think if we stop here, this would be a good thing. This 134.17, and my opinion is they don't have to rally. That a rally would be good in bonds, but even just sideways actions and not a return to the low. So if we start kind of heading back here, and you've got a short-term level to watch here, right? Which is, you can see that we're on the lower third, I guess, of the value area for the week, but maybe we'll find a little bit of support in here if there's a little bit more pressure in bonds going into tomorrow. But again, this is important, right? Bonds have a lot of bonds and rates have a lot of implications. So I think once again, have to keep an eye on this. Also, before I get to the major averages and some single stocks, interesting with Nike, right? So Nike just reported after the hours, they sold off a little bit, right? They came into support for the week, 110. So I think, as we get to earnings season, there's going to be a lot of questions about this, right? Now, China is a big component of Nike's revenue. I think that makes up something like 20% of Nike's market. So take a look at what happened here. Let's see if I can find the exact line here. Greater China, 313 million, estimate 678. So they missed pretty decently, right? In China, that's a big miss. Why isn't the stock down? Well, it's because it's already kind of, I think, I would imagine, and I don't know for sure, but you always make estimated and educated guesses about the stock. But it's already priced into, in my opinion, it's already priced into the stock, right? The stock has gone from 170, it's sitting down at 110. You don't think that this is priced in, that there was some weakness in China? So yes, I think it is. Remember, the market knows, right? The market just doesn't sit there and do nothing, right? It prices in when there's negatives, and it prices in obviously when there's positives too. We used to see that, last year. The stock would sometimes stocks would beat on earnings on the top line, bottom line, and the stock wouldn't go anywhere. Why? Because it was already up a lot and priced in. Right. And we started to see that kind of towards the end of last year, that stocks were not really going up and breaking out as they had in years past, because all the good news was priced into the stock, right? So again, this isn't jumping like crazy in the after hours market, but it's not going down either. And so, it's something to kind of consider as we get to the bigger reports, is how much is already priced in, right? And I think that you're going to hear results are not going to come in as expected. Like, and I don't know if anybody really kind of observed this one last week too, but Accenture, right? Accenture and Adobe too. Notice what they did on earnings last week, right? Accenture, brought in their guidance. The stock actually went up a little bit on that. Why? Because it's already priced in, considering this. So I know that the reason why I'm kind of going over this is, one, to kind of help learn a little bit, but the expectations, I think everybody knows that the earnings are not going to be good for this quarter, right? But it's a question of how much is already priced into these stocks, right? And you could see Accenture, which again, I believe, I'm going from memory, that they brought in their guidance. The stock didn't sell off. So there's already, for some stocks, I don't want to say for everything, right? There's going to be some names that could really do poorly. And there's also going to be probably some good upside surprises too. But you have to realize, you have to think about, how much is already priced into this market, right? How much bad news is priced into this? And again, everything that we're going through is for information purposes only. You could read the whole risk disclaimer here. Please do that. But just talking for educational purposes only. All right, so let's get to the averages, right? So, remember Friday we closed with full head of steam into the close on Friday. So it doesn't surprise me that we have a little bit of back and filling. A level to watch is 38.92. Right, we did get into the June value area, which again, we're only going to have a few more days of June, but we did get into the June value area, and even though we kind of pushed back a little bit off of the pre-market highs of where things were going in the overnight session, we didn't lose any support. We didn't lose the 20-day moving average, and we didn't lose the value area. So I view that as a little bit of a positive, and it may set up well for tomorrow. It may also not, and the level for me to watch is 38.92. Right. Also, right. Also, a little bit of a check back here is not the worst thing, considering that we got kind of overbought. I think some of these moving averages that I have in the charts, even if we come into here in the beginning of tomorrow, right, which is around 38.80, right, I don't think that's a bad thing, as long as buyers kind of come in. Remember, there's supposedly some quarter end rebalancing going into equities. So it's just the beginning of the week. I'm actually quite optimistic on how this week is going to go. I could be wrong. NASDAQ, we, did better, in terms, has a little bit of a stronger picture in terms of just this month, just what I'm circling in here. So, above the 20-day moving average, so even though the NASDAQ futures were down about 0.5%, we certainly didn't lose anything here. And as long as we're holding, I think this is a good line to watch on the 1 hour charts always give some hints here, and that would be 12.022. All right. So again, nothing wrong with today. I don't think, right. Just kind of giving back some of those crazy moves that we saw from the Russell rebalance on Friday. So we talked about, the indices. We talked about bonds. Let's talk about a couple sectors here. Well, the sector of the day was energy, up 2.9%. Finally gets a bit of a bounce. Tried to do that a couple days last week and really kind of failed. We don't really have much to go. I'm still kind of undecided. What I like to do at this point is maybe look for some individual strength in energy, but this was the best performing group. Just like we had, an update yesterday, I don't know if we really regained anything, right? XOP is holding the 200-day moving average, but did not get into the value area. What I noticed was a couple of things like the refiners, which were the refiners, remember, were the strongest group. right? So this was a nice move. I mean, 8%. And again, you could take advantage of this by just doing by day trading, right? You don't have to figure this out because this is pretty decently below the 50-day moving average. And then a couple other names in this group are PSX. Again, I would like to see PSX probably get above 88.40. Right, that would get you at least above the 5-day moving average. So again, I would just attribute what happened in energy today as a bit of a bounce, right? Dino's a bit better, right? So remember, this used to be the HFC Holly Frontier, right? So this is above the 50-day moving average. This was very strong as well, up 6.6%. This is one I would pay attention to. Another one too is this BPT, right? This has been, a smaller cap name. It's a royalty trust, I believe, this company, but again, didn't break down at all. So this is one I would continue to watch, especially on the small cap side. All right, and so that's energy, and a lot of other material names bounced as well too. Remember, they really got beat up last week, right? So it's not a bad thing to see that. Solar was strong today. Right, ENPH, which I was long last week, I dumped it on Friday. I just am really cognizant about giving back gains on a swing trade that you're in, so I didn't want to do that yet last week. But this is a name that's, I think, definitely to watch, because again, we're going to be flirting with getting above value. Right, we got rejected here, we got rejected here, we got a little bit rejected towards the end of the week on Friday, but I'm watching this 200 spot 23. And then of course, the other one that I watch in the space is SETG, which had a nice day too, up 4%, right? So above the 200-day moving average. I played DQ, right? This was one of our weekend watch list names, right? So here's our weekend watch list. Right, happy to show you these names. And again, it's just a starting point for the week. Like, I'm not looking for all, last week was unusual. The names just went berserk. But these are names like I just want to kind of keep an eye on. So I'm not looking to achieve it's impossible on Sunday to say, okay, these look good going into the week, that these are all going to be good. But, these are areas that, names that we're setting up, and I chose DQ today, which had a really nice move today. And extension here, I toyed with dumping the last portion of the position, but there's no reason for me really to sell it. So I thought about it seriously in the last couple minutes of the day, but I decided to keep the remaining position on. Here's my entry, 69.32, and I took profits at 72. And I don't think I took another one. I could have. I think it almost went up to 74 today. Close. I also got lightened up on some of my other China exposure today, right? I think that, I think that the China names have been pretty hot. If you look at what the KWEB ETF did today, right, it started up about 2% today, and it finished, it gave back all those profits. So again, it's very important, like with China, to look at what the Hang Seng does overnight. Look at what the Shanghai does overnight, right? I'm always, right now, especially in this market, if I see one of my stocks that I own up $2-3 from the overnight session because China rallied, right, I'm taking profits, right? I took this right after the open, PDD, which was a name that I bought on Friday. I'm taking profits, and I actually got rid of the rest of it, right? It looked weak along with some of the other names. It just looked like these names have been on such a run, right? It's time, I think, for a little bit of consolidation. I could be wrong, and I did leave a little bit of this ATHM on, which I took a target in, but I significantly lessened my exposure in China today. I got out of IQ. These were both small positions, and VIPs, which I did actually take a target in this morning. It's a position I think I got in the beginning of last week, right? So you got to, it's very important right now in this market. And again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if, we're going to see, a huge move forward in China, but, gains are gains. And, this group has worked really well for me over the last 2 weeks. I had BABA on, I took profits in BABA on Friday. That worked very well. All right. So that's the China group. right? Again, it's been super strong. I don't mind if it cools off a little bit. Let's talk about so we talked about energy. Let's talk about some of the healthcare names. Well, LNTH, which is a name I've been holding now for a while, right? And I was adding to weakness. You know, the one time that this kind of fell apart a little bit over the last 2 weeks, but I kind of hung in there with it, and I stayed with it, and now back above the 50-day moving average. So that's happened to me a couple times since we've had this run up in LNTH since it reported earnings. You know, every time it's kind of sold off a little bit, for now, it's been a buying opportunity. All right, so I'll stick with that. Other names that I thought were interesting for the day, even something like a United Healthcare. There's various different parts right now that are showing strength in healthcare and biotech. The managed care names look pretty good to me. Cigna saw some calls, but I like the UNH chart the best. HUM has been going sideways for a while. I would keep an eye on that. Maybe it does break out. And if you look, of course, at the other names that are doing very well, Merck had another big day. Lilly was up again. Right, so hit a high of 330. Bristol Myers, right, also up another 1.3%. What a fake out this thing was, right? Failed here, broke down all the way to 72, and then boom, straight line up to 79. Amazing, right? I did get long some UTHR today. I like the little consolidate. I like the inside day or the excuse me, that's on an inside day, but I like the little move here. Morgan Stanley's buying back $20 billion of stock. So I like this, right? We'll see if this continues. Another name that did well for me today which was a name that I added to last week. I added on, I think that was Thursday, on the weakness on Friday, I added to it. Still didn't break out here, but I managed to take a target in this from where I added to it. What else for today? I feel like I've got, and then PLab. Right, so this is another name that we put on the watch list this weekend. Had a nice day today, up 5%. Love the little digestion. It required a little bit of patience in here because it came into the 20-day moving average, went a little bit lower, reclaimed it, went a little bit lower, but nice volume. Well, of course, the Friday volume is because of the Russell rebalance, but nice volume today. And also this kind of represented a check back into here. So this was a name from the weekend watch list, and I took it even though it was up a little bit. And I did manage to I took a small target in this somewhere in here. Here it is. Right, all the way at 11 o'clock. So I really didn't do any trading in the afternoon today. I just didn't, like I said, I just didn't like the price action for the day. A couple names that I'm watching for tomorrow. Right, Amazon, even though it got rejected here at the top of value, right? So it's going to have to get through 116.64. Right, but I like the fact that it just basically is coming into support for the week. All right, and GTLB will be another one that I will be watching tomorrow too on the growth end. Also, same thing, right? Nice move, check back into support, has to hold right around this 54 level. I might be trying that trade tomorrow if we get a little bit of strength in tech tomorrow. All right, guys, that's it. Quick video for today. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.